Welcome back to Classroom Conversations. I'm Rocky Logue. In this episode, I got my good friend Lisa Highfill here. She's going to give us a second grade lesson demonstration and then also take a peek at a high school Hyperdoc lesson, and then has a whole bunch of other good stuff to share. So let's get into it. All right, I got Lisa Highfill here. She's an integration specialist in Pleasanton Unified School District, and happy to have her. This is gonna be a fun interview. She's gonna tell us a little bit about a second grade lesson that she's been demoing in classes. So give us a little bit more of your background, please, Lisa.
Thanks, Rocky. So I am happy here to chat with you about second grade. This is something that I love to go and as a coach, I work with a lot of teachers and administrators and anyone who's trying to do this job right now, whether you are a para or you've got your own class, how to design lessons to meet kids' needs during this time of teaching in a pandemic. And it's become quite a challenge, not only for teachers, but for students in maneuvering through all this. So what I do sometimes is guest teach in classrooms, because as a coach, without my own classroom, if I'm not actually doing the teaching, I have nothing to say to these teachers who are going through this. That's a really important part for me, is to be able to walk the talk. So every week I go into this second grade class and I am challenged every week to try to get all these second graders to not only do something like open a second tab, and not get lost in their tabs, or to be able to come back to the Zoom window to see me sharing my screen, to getting into really some depths of instruction and learning.
I can't imagine K2 right now. It's hard enough for me with middle schoolers sometimes to get them to open a second tab or to turn on the microphone. I can't imagine with K2 kids.
And I'll tell you, you've never lived until you taught second graders how to copy and paste from a Zoom call. So there, every day I learn a new thing. I'm like, how do I explain this when I'm sitting here not next to them? And so it's been interesting to really be a really effective teacher this way. It's really stretched me. So I love going into the younger grades. I think that their behaviors and whatnot are totally separate from when I work with the secondary kids. I go into the secondary classrooms and it's pretty quiet and a lot of cameras off, and I totally understand that. But in the primary grades, absolutely, that is not what's happening. Every camera is on, everyone is moving and grooving and shifting in their seats, and microphones are constantly going off, and everyone's talking at once. Totally different place to be. So,
all right, so let's check out your lesson.
Yeah. So I collaborated with some teachers around second grade standards of robots and inventions. And I thought, how can we build engagement, even in our littlest learners? Instead of me just lecturing them and telling them what robots or inventions are, I thought, how can I get them to experience it? And I thought, let's get them into some of these cool web tools that we've used before. And I started off slow. I wanted to use the web tool Quick Draw. And if you've never used Quick Draw before, it's an application that has been created to teach your computer what your scribbles are. So it's a program to teach artificial intelligence. So you scribble, it gives you a prompt such as draw a fire hydrant, and you start drawing, and it tries to guess what that drawing is. So the prompt comes up, and then the computer tries to guess. And if they get it correct, then the computer is learning. It
sounds pretty fun.
Very fun to do. Yes. And then the second lesson on that day, we did that for about 10, 15 minutes. I said, you were teaching the computer what you're drawing looks what it is. So then we go into the other auto draw, which is how the application of that knowledge, now that the computer knows what your doodles are, we go in there and it's a drawing program and you could draw whatever you want. So I always start off, I never can draw a bicycle. I'm terrible at drawing bicycles. So I'll start off like drawing a wheel, and all these pictures pop up at the top. Like they might think it's a donut. That donut always shows up. And then all of a sudden, if I get a little more detail, like 2 wheels, then a bicycle shows up. And if I click on the bicycle, I have this perfectly drawn bicycle on my drawing. And
Nice.
while I want kids to be creative and do kid drawings, we actually can practice vocabulary words that way. Maybe it's spelling words, or there's all sorts of applications for it. But in this lesson, it was about artificial intelligence and how you just taught your computer, and what an engaging way to do it. Quick Draw is a competition, it's a game. And they kept wanting to go back and play that. And I said, isn't that double-sided invention there? You are doing their work for them, and it's entertaining. And I love that kind of innovation, and to point it out when I can find it. So that was week 1.
Nice.
Simple lesson, get in, get out. In terms of lesson design, I started with they got to explore, they got to play, and a lot of reflection. So we did this together. I did not have them leave, but I did say you could go leave and finish doing a drawing. I think it was around Halloween when I started this. I said, go help me, go try doing a Halloween picture for me. And screenshot it and post it in Google Classroom. So that was quite a task to get 2nd graders to be able to go through all those steps.
Yeah.
The next time we came, I really wanted to build their critical thinking skills and their ability to learn information through exploration versus me telling them. So this was the explore part of the lesson. And I made a multimedia text set. For 2nd graders, I pared it down. There were only 5 new squares on here, but I did include the quick draw and auto draw in it as well, and reminded them that, guys, this is a part of this. Remember that, because I kind of forgot from the week before. So these are a series of videos where it could just build background knowledge, answering the question, what is a robot? For these kiddos, this was the first time I wanted to shift, not just from reflecting orally with everyone. Again, 2nd graders don't mind turning off their mic and putting their camera on and sharing what they know. But I wanted them to learn how to do it asynchronously as well when I'm not there. And so I did a Padlet, and I wrote at the top with the columns what I learned about robots, what I wonder, and what kind of a robot or invention would you create? That was the first part to this. This is their first time going on a Padlet, and they had absolutely no problem with this. I was really impressed. And this is where the teaching comes in. This is my first formative assessment. So while some may see an exploration like this as, that's, how do we know they know it? Don't they have to answer questions? I went to this, what I learned about robots. And when I saw that Clementine said that they can be programmed to do some stuff that people do, I was like, yep, she picked up what I was hoping she'd pick up. Is that is one aspect of robots. And I was very excited to be able to see that. And then I actually taught from that comment and called her out for that, which was kind of cool. This also, and you can see here on my screen, I've added instructions here because I'm a coach. I share this lesson with all the 2nd grade teachers in my district. And these are instructions for them on how to deliver this lesson. And I have the instructions written, and I also put a voice command on here, a voice recording on there. To do this for your students, you can actually put in your voice recording. Because I'm using slides, I put it right on the side of the slide. It could go on the slide itself and give the kids instructions. Now go home, explore 2 more of the squares, which I think is a really effective way to get kids to work when they're not with you and to know what to do, because they might not know what to do. Do you want me to go to the next day?
Sure. Yeah, no, this is all great. And you were talking a little bit about the exploration. It seemed like, oh, they're just playing around. I just did a video that I'm going to put out. And I actually got some of these ideas from Ryan O'Donnell, where we have them have the 7th graders pick somebody in history we've studied and then make a fake Twitter or Instagram account. And it's the same thing. It seems like, oh, they're just kind of playing around with the slide. But then when you actually read through, it surprises me what they've learned when they have to tweet something out, and then they have to put, and it's like, oh, wow, they actually learn more than what I expected them to learn. So sometimes when you give them that exploration time and let them go on their own, you actually find out they're maybe learning more than what you even intended for them to learn. So
For sure. And I really think it changes or has the ability to add to your instruction when you give that free exploration first, where it's not that passive learning, it's more active learning. To They can follow their curiosity. But I also think it leads to teaching higher cognitive thinking skills. When they put what I learned and someone said robots could jump or they are the best, those are kind of our lower level ahas I wanted them to walk away with. And I could point that out by the student who said they are the best did not put their name. So I'm not worried about embarrassing them or calling them out. But, someone else put that. Oh, where did it say? I learned robots can be useful. So we really can talk about if we're discussing about what kind of responses really show me what you know at a higher level. I know I don't say that to second graders because they don't care about that, but I really want them to tell me more besides they're really robots are cool. I want to get away from those kinds of answers. And second graders are capable of giving you those higher thinking answers when you explicitly teach them. So I use this Padlet, actually this whole activity as a into for that. Like there's a reason for me to teach it. It's not inauthentic. It's something they've already experienced on their own. So
well, the funny thing that also made me think too is, and I put objectives at the beginning of my lesson and
uh-huh.
everything, but there are times where I haven't,
Mhm.
and just let them do that explore part and let them get into it. And then I ask them, like, I don't give them the why. I
Yeah.
don't give them the objective first, but then I ask them after they're done exploring, say, why did we do this?
Yeah.
A lot of them will hit the nail on the head and be the exact objective that I can reveal and say, yeah, that's why we're doing this. But then sometimes I get even better responses to, like, oh, that's actually better than the objective that I gave you. Like, you actually get,
Right.
the kids are actually, and these are middle schoolers that we're talking about. I was like,
Oh, that's
wow,
amazing.
again, you got into that deeper. So sometimes that exploration, and even if you aren't, and again, this has just made me think of, sometimes it's like, sometimes I want to hide the objective, because if I put it up there, they go, oh, I'm doing it just because of that. That's going to be
Right.
my outcome. Same thing with, and I know everybody's like, we got to tell people the why first. And it's like, that's true. But sometimes I want them to develop their own why they did that. Why are we doing this? Why am I even teaching you about robots?
Mhm.
Or why am I teaching you about Mansa Musa? Why am I teaching you about medieval? You tell me why. And hopefully I've
Yes.
done a good enough job presenting things to them. But that's kind of the rub on that is it depends on what you're presenting as well.
I love what you said too about how they're telling you a why that you hadn't thought of or didn't think they'd even get there. And I think that's really great of when you're trying to take away that ceiling for them, for how to meet all needs. Maybe kids are going further with comprehension in your work than you even anticipated. So that's really great as a teacher, for you to notice that. And I think that's a really important part. Whenever I give a Padlet, I don't do it as just to check up on them. I do it to teach from them. And I think that's a really important part. I think the kids know right away if you care about what they put there or not, and it changes what they'll put. Because I'll go in and teach from that, which kind of helped me a lot when I got to actually the next part. And again, day 3, I had the teacher instructions. I had an audio recording for how to deliver this lesson. And day 3 was a Hyperdoc. And you might recognize this cycle of learning on here. And I posted it right on just one slide. With second graders, I cannot spread things out too far. This was a 1-hour get in, get out lesson as I was guest teaching. And I wanted to shift from robots to inventions. And so I have never done this with second graders before. I gave them a playlist of videos. I was so nervous. I'm like, well, how's this going to go? And it was amazing. I only put 6 videos on the playlist, and I gave very explicit instructions. I said, watch some of the videos here. I gave them like 8, no, I gave them like 6 or 7 minutes. So I said, you probably can only watch 1 or 2. The videos are pretty short. Did they give you ideas about something to invent? And I said, now be watching them. I want these to spark ideas for what you can invent. And so as they went through, I knew people would go to different ones. I gave them 6 minutes and we came back. That was the explore part of this little mini hyperdoc that we did. And again, that exploration has to have an expectation. So I reflected with them. What video did you watch? What kind of inventions? I told them some of the inventions are important inventions, really important and matter a lot in the world. And some of them are good for our human spirit and make us happier or make things more efficient. Could you differentiate between the two? So I kind of made them look back at the videos and see if they could differentiate between the two. And know what an important invention, such as this sign language text to speech gloves that actually translate to speech when you sign, and a pretty cool invention. A lot of these are playful, fun. Young people too are involved. So that was great to do that. They got to post their ideas about something you'd want to invent. And they posted again back on the same Padlet. And I noticed then that they were all saying they were going to invent robots. And I was like, uh-oh, I think they're on my other lesson thinking about that. So they have all these, I would invent a robot to play with. Oh my gosh, they were so funny. Let's see. I would invent a robot to do my homework. I'm like, that's Google. Anyway, there was a whole bunch of different ideas they had for that. But that was another formative assessment that they were confusing robots and inventions. And so I'll get to that in just a moment. For the explain portion of this lesson, though, we moved on after brief discussion and that exploration. We watched this video together, and I put it into View Pure, another good thing to do with littles when you're showing a video in front of everyone. I didn't want any videos to show up on the side. So with lesson design, I'm really careful that I package these lessons. So it's sort of like my own playground. So I feel they're safe there. And this was Kid President, How to Be an Inventor. We watched it together and reflected on that. And these are the reflection questions afterwards. What does it take to be an inventor? Can kids be inventors? And what would you invent? Again, back to that idea. What would you invent? Their last idea in the cycle of learning for this lesson was to create and share. And I showed them, I actually took this image and enlarged it really big because I said, I want you to draw sort of a blueprint for your invention. Now, this person who drew this one is a really good artist. And so you don't have to worry too much if you can't draw how it looks exactly like that. But what do you notice about the drawing? So instead of me giving requirements, it's what do you notice? Again, trying to engage students on a Zoom call. And instead of me telling them. So they noticed there were arrows and there was text and there was pictures. And I said, all of those things are really important so that I can understand what your invention is. And so could you please do that with your drawing? And so the instructions are written. We went over it. Draw and label your invention using paper or ABC or paint. Now I put that link there, but you should have seen them. All of a sudden, no one's in their camera. They're gone. I'm like, I looked at the teacher. I'm all, where did they go? She said, you said get paper. And they're so excited. They come back with some of them have like a lot of pens. Some of them have one pen. They had their paper out and all I saw were tops of heads. And they were all drawing and it was just made my day. It was so exciting.
I see tops of heads a lot too, but it's a different type of top of head. It's the camera facing the ceiling top.
Oh, no, I just could see them madly drawing. And that's a beautiful thing because that was from the classroom. And I showed them how to turn in their drawings using Padlet, which actually is really simple. I loved that this boy wanted to make a robot that played Uno with him. I thought that was really sweet. And so, I mean, I'm not here to analyze whether their drawings were amazing or but I did see some things I needed to clarify again, that I came in for the last time together. This idea that some were getting frustrated with their drawings, they weren't looking right. And I love getting the literature in and really critiquing stories. And I found the most magnificent thing She is a little inventor, but she's a perfectionist, and she gets frustrated when her inventions don't turn out how she wanted them to be, which was a theme that we actually had going all the way through. Kid President talks about that a lot in the explain video I had shown the week before. So I wanted to continue that theme of being an inventor means you have a lot of perseverance. I wanted to bring that extra layer into this, not just this is an inventor, these are robots, and just that technical side, but what does it take to be an inventor? And so I shared the Thomas Edison quote. And I actually had a student who knew a lot about Thomas Edison and was all excited that was there, which was cute for a little guy. We watched the story together. We cleared up what's the difference between a robot and an invention, and could a robot be an invention? And they were like, oh. And I said, does a robot always have to be human shaped? And so we got into a lot of discussions around that. I put a lot of instructions on here. I've been playing around. Rocky, I'm going to show you this now. Do you notice my voice insert is different on this slide? It's purple. I've been trying a new extension here. It's called Moat, and it's a really quick way to add audio into my slides. I know I have it here where I could do insert audio, but one of the things about inserting audio, I had to have it in my drive, and it had to be, I had to go through WeVideo or somewhere else, maybe my phone, and send it to my drive if I did a voice recording. Moat is a nice little extension I'm having some good luck with.
Yeah, I've seen other people use Moat. One of the interviews, Brittany McLean uses it as well. So yeah, I've heard some good things. I haven't used it. That is the one thing. It's nice you can put audio into slides. We had this today. My student teacher was going to do it, and then he used his iPhone, but iPhone formats audio recordings with the basic voice recorder as MP4.
Oh,
Google Slides doesn't let you insert MP4.
Yeah.
So, and then you run into the problem of if you don't share all of those audio files, people can't use them. So I always tell people, make a folder, make it shared with the world, and then all of your audio for any slides just goes into that folder, and you don't have to worry about sharing the audio each time. But I think I should probably try Moat, because sometimes it is pretty tedious to do the audio. I mean, it's not that big of a deal, but it is, an extra 20 minutes that I could save by just probably using Moat to do the same thing if it works. Sounds like it works well. I've used Talk and Comment too, and I've done that on assessments, like on Google Forms, and that works really well. But I did it on a slide, and I think if you put it in presentation mode, it puts a little player on there. But
interesting.
But it didn't do it when I wasn't in presentation mode, so I didn't use it.
I swap back and forth from presentation mode to not, because I wanted them to be able to go back and forth to the lessons and see this as something that they could, I kept adding a slide every week that I went, and I know they went back to slides. We were pulling on prior knowledge for them to kind of come up with these ideas. So I think that's an important piece. My main idea for this packaging for remote instruction, though, is to have everything in one place. We shared this as a view only in Google Classroom, so they could find it and I could just keep adding to it. So it wasn't 4 different entries into Google Classroom kind of cluttering up their stream. I also had the teacher post this lesson as just a link from their agenda for that day. And that's a really easy way to access too. I'm working a lot with teachers and kids about that executive functioning, like how do you keep it all together? And I think you can embed that in your lesson design, in the way you plan it, and really think through, how are they going to get it? How am I going to know they got it? How are they going to talk to each other and collaborate on this? And that's, where the Padlet comes in. How are they creating? How do I know what they're creating? That kind of thing.
No, and that's great. And and then you got all this stuff for, and I'm guessing if this were before and in class, there'd be a lot of pencil and paper drawing, which is great because
Yeah,
you should be able to do both.
right.
But it'd be, now that you have this, you can do that hybrid of the two, right? In our day and age, we
Yeah,
still pencil and
yeah,
paper draw things, but also teaching a little bit of graphic design, right? Kind of
for
with that
sure.
the first part. So you're getting some of those 21st century skills along with everything else. And again, you have it all packaged together right now to use, when we go back to regular learning. And also, if a kid is absent on a day, or a kid is going on, we have kids that
Yes.
take, it's not a leave of absence, take a independent study contract. Well,
Yes.
here's your lesson. Log
Yes.
into this, and you can do the same lesson we're doing in class, even though you're not here with us.
Exactly. And that's the thing, a really well designed lesson, whether it's digital or, this Hyperdoc is good whether you're in class or not in class. I did include ABC on here, and I didn't force it. I kind of took their lead, but teaching them how to draw right now, especially during this time, has been really important, because when I put them on something like Whiteboard FI or a Jamboard, I'm going to want them to do some drawing on there. And so having that balance of skills, but I also love giving choice. And it'll be interesting to see back in the classroom, which they do choose to do, when we still offer that choice. Really important.
So you got Hyperdoc on there. Of course, we got to talk about that a little bit. So, talk about Hyperdocs a little bit, since I think you know a thing or two about them, since
I
you and
do.
your buddies Sarah and Kelly are the originators.
Well, and you are one of our very first Hyperdoc people that we would always consult with. And I mean, think back to those early days and how much they've evolved with this collaboration of talking to teachers and talking around good lesson design and what it really means. I'll tell you, this slide right here is dedicated to you, Rocky. You're the one who first got me putting Hyperdocs on slides, and it was a huge aha. And Hyperdocs are basically digital lessons that you create and give straight to your students. But the way they're not a digital worksheet is they have that lesson design built into them. So this one is super simple and quick, but it has explore, explain, apply, and share. And so it's got that lesson cycle. It's not independent. Like I said, the explore they did on their own, and then we reflect. The explain we did together, and then we reflected. And then, it kind of has that cycle to it. I think that's a important way to really ensure that our lessons are more than just that worksheet. And
Yeah, and do we get to do I get to share this lesson?
yeah, that'd be great. Um,
And then we'll put up your what is the website with an abundance, or maybe you could show it really quick,
yeah,
with
so
an abundance of the new, is it hyperdoc.co?
um, I
Remember?
wanted to show one real quick, and
Yeah.
I really fast. This is a secondary one, actually, for high school students that I've been working on. It's around of course, everything's slowing down now.
Yeah,
Um,
it's afternoons. Everybody's home turning their TVs and everything on now.
Yes. This is getting some students up in Napa County are going to be viewing this new film by Paul Kaufman called Butter's Final Meal. And we wanted to create a learning experience for them. And it has a long template. So, not just explore, explain, apply, we have engage, and each slide is a different part. There's the explore, that same tech set, only high school level. Here's the watch. This is actually the explain, where they're actually going to watch the movie together as a class. And then comes the apply. And you can see we've broken it down. We've given choice. The students could literally pick this up and know what to do. I am creating some voice ideas, share your work, and then reflect and extend. So this is the long version. You can tell definitely for secondary kids around how to do an explore, explain, apply, way more than a digital lesson. And with that, I will go to our website. Rocky, did you see what is back? Look at that.
Nice. Yeah. And this is great because these are all free lessons that you can take advantage of. There are a bunch of different templates. There are a bunch of different just lessons, full lessons you can make copies of
Yep.
and use your own copy. So you can come here and they're free. Like everybody has contributed, not everybody, but everybody that's contributed has done so in, knowing that their lessons are going to be used by other people and copied. And so go to the site. I'll put the link in the bio and look around for some lessons and just make a copy. Just remember to make a copy first. Don't request, access. Just make a copy.
Oh, look what showed up in.
I need to update those because it's all been changed even last year and then this year. So there's some good lessons there, but they will all be updated. Oh, I like the force make a copy too.
Isn't that nice? And then there's our tags and our description. This is just phase 1. It does have the link, but you can make a copy of it from there. We're really excited that this is getting going. But if you want to know more about how to make Hyperdocs and what they are, we really do have a lot to offer on our site, what they are, why you should use them. We have a full online academy now with courses. And of course, our teachers give teachers. Means a lot to us. But our courses are asynchronous for you to be able to go through and, just learn some more about that workflow. We wanted to make something that's equitable so that teachers didn't have to always pay for a conference. You could do this from your home. So that's kind of the idea.
All right, cool. I don't know. Is that it? You got anything else to share? Those were great. That was awesome. I do like if you go back to the second grade lesson.
Yes.
And I pointed this out with a couple slideshows. And again, I'm not doing this the slides are simple.
Yeah.
It doesn't take a lot of tech savviness to make a good looking slide that has a lot of good information in it. And I think sometimes people might get overwhelmed and look at, well, I don't know how to do this and that. This is adding a couple different fonts and a couple images with some links. So it's something that I think is really attainable for most teachers. And it looks really good. It's not, there are some of us who do a little bit extra, but this looks just as good and is just as functional. And, it takes some time gathering the information, but once you gather the information and put it together, it's there. It's like a textbook and beyond. It's an interactive textbook that you can just tweak every year.
I'm really glad you brought that up because sometimes people look at a Hyperdoc and be like, oh, that's just pretty, just a pretty digital worksheet. And I really love to talk about in lesson design, the effect that design has the actual looks of it for engagement. Does it draw the user in? Does it help them to understand what's asked of them? So, yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for joining me. That was awesome. I'll put this out in the next couple days and I'll put the links to the second grade lesson and to the website and everything in there, and tell everybody else I said hello and thanks for joining me.
It was great chatting with you. Good to catch up.